Hello, good morning year two and welcome to Thursday's English lesson. So to start us off this morning, I would like you to practice punctuating these sentences properly. So as you remember, we've been doing this all week and I want you to have a think now, what punctuation might we need to look for? So have a think. Oh, hopefully you said capital letters. And then because we said capital letter, I'm really hoping you're screaming at your computer screens and saying full stops. We might need to look for commas in a list. That's right, well done. We might need to look today for a question mark. And we practiced writing our question sentences. We may even today need to look for an exclamation mark. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video and have a go at punctuating these sentences. Off you go. Right, hopefully you've all had a good go at that. And let's go through the answers. So the first one says, my favourite books are Halibut Jackson, Wild and Claude in the City. Let's read that one more time. My favourite books are Halibut Jackson, Wild and Claude in the City. Well, I can see that's a list. So what punctuation do I need for a list? It's already got a capital letter at the start of the sentence. So let's move on. My favourite books are Halibut Jackson. That's the first item in the list. I'm going to separate that with a comma. Wild and Claude in the City. And we need to put a full stop on the end there. Remembering that when we write a list, the last two items are separated with the word and. So we don't need a comma for that one there. Excellent. Let's move on. The next sentence says, what is your name? What is your name? Well, there's no capital letter there. So we're going to pop a capital letter on. I hope you remembered that one. And what is your name? What is your name? Well, that's a question, isn't it? So we can put a question mark on the end of that one there. And finally, let's read our last sentence. What a wonderful day we are having. What a wonderful day we are having. But it needs a capital letter. But that to me, and hopefully to you, sounds like an exclamation sentence. Remember, exclamation sentences start with what or how. And they sound quite old-fashioned when we say them. What a wonderful day we are having. We wouldn't normally talk like that. But here we are, we need to put an exclamation mark onto the end of it. Fantastic job, well done. Let's move on. Now, our learning objective today says, can I explore the layout of a non-fiction text? And yesterday, you were shown a video of this amazing book called Yucky Worms. And it is one of my favourite books. It's so interesting. So what I'd like you to do now is have a think. You might even want to make some notes in your writing book. What have you found out so far about worms? There was so much information in this book. I wonder what you can remember. So you might want to rewatch the video of the story from yesterday. Just go to the post on Class Dojo and you'll find it there. Or you may have things that are coming to mind already. Or you may have paused the video and made some notes. It's up to you. But I chose a few of my favourite facts. So I wonder if yours were the same as mine. Should we have a look? So one of the facts that I thought was interesting said, in most gardens, there will be about 20 worms in every square metre of earth. Can you believe that? That seems like such a lot, doesn't it? The second fact that I wrote down, worms have 5 pairs of hearts. 5 pairs of hearts. So that's 10 hearts. That is a lot. Much more than us. We've only got 1. The next fact I wrote down, I wonder if you wrote this one down. Worm poo helps plants grow big and strong. I'm just going to put an S in there because I wrote help and not helps. Worm poo helps plants grow big and strong. How interesting is that? And finally, I wrote, this blew my mind as well. I could not believe this. Worms breathe through their skin. How fascinating is that? I wonder if you got any more facts than I did. Feel free to, as you're grown up, to write the facts that you thought were most interesting on this post. I'd like to see them. So let's move on now. And I want to talk to you about the layout of this book. And that's one of the most interesting things about it, because it teaches us about worms, which means it's a non-fiction text because it's giving us fact. But also it has this story that goes alongside. Can you see here it says story? And on the edge of this page in particular, I thought was really interesting how she wrote some interesting facts about worms. And the author does that all the way throughout the text. And I've just put some examples here to show you. So can you see in the first picture here where it says caption, above the story, she's written a little fact. That one says, in most gardens, there will be about 20 worms in every square metre of earth. So as a reader, we still get to enjoy this amazing story, and we're being taught these fascinating facts about worms. This on the far right of the screen, I wrote diagram, and you will remember this from, can I find which page it was on? Probably not now, but there's a good example here, look. So the story is at the top, and then at the bottom, she has drawn a diagram and labeled it with all the parts of the worm. Now, as a reader, for me, I find that so interesting to look at. And actually, having it as a diagram like that makes it really clear, doesn't it? It's very helpful for us. Then in the middle, can you see this word index? Can you say that? Index. Very good. Now the index is a super handy thing for a reader, because what we can do is turn to the index. I'm just going to make this slightly bigger in the hope that you'll be able to see it on your screens. We can turn to the index, and if I said to myself, well, I really want to find out about how worms breathe, then I can scan down the index list and it will tell me which page to go to find that information. So if you can see on your list here, it says breathing, page 18. And that is incredibly useful for people doing research about worms. The index is so important for us. So I liked that she put that in there. I thought that was really helpful. Did you? And finally, on the last page, the story's finished, and she has written a heading, and the heading says, how to be a wormologist. How to be a wormologist. So she's teaching people, she's telling people how they can study worms themselves. Then she has this subheading here, look out for, and she bullet points. Can you see those bullet points there? Really helpful for writing lists. Look out for worm casts in your garden or in the park, leaves sticking up out of the earth, worms on the surface after rain. So it's a really clear way of telling her reader, this is what you need to spot. Look out for these 3 things. It's not a huge amount of writing, and we wouldn't really expect that from this style of text, because she's trying to make it as simple as she can for us to understand. So under that paragraph, she's written a new subheading, experiment by. And she's given us 3 bullet points. Experiment by watering a dry patch of grass or earth and watching to see if worms come up. Tapping on the ground to see if you can make a worm believe it's raining, carefully digging up a forkful of earth and counting how many worms you find. So again there, 3 really clear bullet points explaining to people what they need to do if they want to become a wormologist and how they can experiment. Maybe you could try some of these experiments at home or at a park nearby your house. And finally, the last paragraph says, a worm in the hand. When you pick up a worm, remember to be respectful. A worm is a living creature. Check how it feels. And then she asks us some questions, and you'll notice the question marks on the end of these. Is it smooth? Is it slimy? Can you feel the bristles? Watch how it moves. Is it a youngster or an adult? And the last bullet point, put the worm back on newly dug earth and watch how it wriggles away. Always wash your hands after touching worms. So that is a really, really, really helpful page, isn't it? And today you are going to have a go at writing your own non-fiction text. And the title is going to be this title here that I've just highlighted, How to Be a Wormologist. So what I would like you to do is watch this video. It's a program called Spring Watch. You might have seen it on the BBC. It's very, very interesting and gives us lots of information about worms. So watch that video. As you watch it, make some notes, or ask your grown-up to help you as well. Make some notes. You can pause it as much as you need to catch up with your note-taking. You can watch it over and over again, and then create your own How to Be a Wormologist page. You can use the same subheadings that she did, or if you want a challenge, you can make your own subheadings. And always remember to punctuate those sentences properly. I really, really look forward to reading your How to Be a Wormologist pages. Good luck with this year too, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.